We are all gathered to support the Palestinian cause. We are here to denounce all the bombings that have been taking place by the Israeli government and killing all these innocent civilians. We do not appreciate that our tax dollars are going towards bombing those innocent civilians, and we would like to ask our government to stop this. Stop it, and not in our name. Thank you for your support, and hopefully you will hear this message and call your senator, your congressman, the State Department, and the White House to tell them, not in our name. America was built on freedom, and we want to continue that. We don't want to see that in other countries and see our tax dollars being sent to Israel, an occupier and an oppressor.
This is not just a war about rockets from both sides, but it is actually a war about illegal settlements and stolen lands. And what is the next big political move? I have sat here these last 30 years and heard the same statement every year for 30 years, and nothing has happened.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Innocent civilians slaughtered by the Israelis in Gaza was the inhabitant of a disabled people's home which was hit by Israeli targets, and that a hospital was hit as well. That whatever one says in deploring the role of Hamas, and I have told the Hamas Prime Minister to his face that I deplore what they do, nevertheless, if this goes on, we shall have yet another cycle, the third so far. There will be a fourth, it will go on, and unless the Israelis are willing to make peace, the day will come when the Palestinians will explode in anger and despair.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Palestinian. We're here in San Diego. We're protesting against the violence in Gaza. We are all united right here just to say to the world that Palestine will be free. We are protesting against the violence that Israel is killing and destroying the house in Gaza. And it's not only Gaza is under attack, the whole Palestinian area under the attack. So I hope our message will get there. Well, as we see in the pictures, that there's a lot of kids these days are being taken to the prison from the soldiers with no any reason. They were just coming out of their schools and they were taken without even their parents knowing where they are, where they're going, and that's so illegal under all the international laws. And hopefully Israel will stop, you know, the violence act on those kids and the Palestinian women.
Those three
Israelis and the burning of the Palestinian, and none of us have any truck with Hamas. But is it not clear that for all the vacuous words of the Israeli government and the IDF spokesman, that they have no regard themselves for international humanitarian law, that they place a completely different and much lower value on Palestinian life compared to Israeli life, and that this cycle will go on as long as the international community, in an effort to be even-handed, fails to say to the Israelis that the actions that they are taking are completely out with the United Nations Charter and any idea of how a civilized nation ought to behave.
Secretary is absolutely right to call for a permanent end to these intolerable rocket attacks on Israel, but right too that too many civilian and children, too many Palestinian civilians and children are dying. Will he consider whether or not the favourable economic and political relationship with Israel and between Israel and the European Union should now be reconsidered in the light of the Israeli government's disproportionate response?
Is of course correct that the escalation, this latest escalation of tit for tat rockets and military strikes brings peace no closer. It just brings death and destruction. You may be aware that I, with honourable members, was in Gaza just weeks after the 08-09 Operation Cast Lead and saw for ourselves that humanitarian centres by the UN had been hit by Israeli strikes. As he said, 17,000 Palestinian civilians are now sheltering at UN centres, and the UN reports 49 of those already being damaged. As a high contracting party to the Geneva Convention, what can Britain do about this? Will he confirm that hitting humanitarian centres is a war crime?
Of this captive population, and I'm just sick and fed up watching them suffer and being held like captives in their own land, with their lands being stolen day after day is just too much to take. So that's why I'm here. These people deserve rights and freedom, and they have had neither for decades now, and they're under a tyrannical thumb of Israel, which gets protected by the U.S. vetoes every time. So we have a moral obligation to show that these people are not alone in their struggle for freedom and human rights.
Speaker, in 2010, our Prime Minister described Gaza as being like an open-air prison with its people living under constant attacks and pressure. The latest escalation of the the violence and killings has made matters unbearable. When will our government, working with the international community, actually apply pressure on the Israeli government to adhere to international law and humanitarian requirements? Because this is just completely unacceptable.
Lauren Haifa, I live in San Diego. I support all the Palestinian right for justice and peace. When I mean with the Palestinian under all the religions. There is in Gaza Christians too. They're suffering as the Muslims too, which I like to educate our media and our USA people in Gaza, in West Bank, in Palestine, Jerusalem, everywhere there is a Christian suffering plus a Jew that's supporting the Palestinians. As I say, the Palestinian nation, it's not only one religion, it's multiply religions.
Israel's right to defend itself, of which the Foreign Secretary speaks, is not an unconstrained right. Yet Israel's response has been unconstrained. It has been disproportionate and wrong. Heavy bombing in a densely populated area of 100,000 civilians, causing the death of 170 people, a third of them children, is not self-defense, it is barbarism. What leverage does the Foreign Secretary have, and will he now apply it to make the Israeli government reappraise this barbaric and unproductive strategy?